Welcome back, everybody, to Fallout Equestria, Chapter 27. Anyways, let's continue where we left off.
Not earned this. If any of you should happen to see our Lightbringer, give her a big thanks. She'll be easy to recognize. She keep in the company of the zebra slave she rescued as icing on the cupcake for her latest escapade. And for the rest of you still toiling away in Philadelphia, our hearts go out to you, and your plight has not been forgotten. Plus, I offer these small words of hope. Knowing our Lightbringer, I don't think she's done with Red Eye yet. Xenith stared at the little radio, blinking slowly. How does he know so much? We'd walked across the moat and
Who
outside
the
the wall
fuck
less than
knows?
3 hours ago. The zebra looked at my companions. And why does he not give you the credit you deserve? Much as the victory was yours, as was our escape, for which I am most thankful. Calamity chuckled. Oh, shucks. Weren't nothing. Velvet Remedy purred. Because we asked DJ Pony not mention us, Little
Why?
Pip here should get all of the credit.
Why?
I groaned. It was a conspiracy. I started to get up and say something, but Velvet Remedy put a hoof to my muzzle, then whispered into my ear. Oh, and don't think I've forgotten about that barn door comment. She smiled as I collapsed with a splash under the weight of my embarrassment. DJ's Pony's voice continued bringing news and advice to the ponies of the equestrian wasteland. I felt a chill as DJ Pony talked openly with us, having no idea she was in mortal danger. Warning to all those traveling Central Equestria, keep your hooves away from the area surrounding Ponyville. I'm getting reports of fires along the back end of the Everfree Forest. They seem to be spreading slowly, but the advancing
Rip.
flames and smoke are pushing many of the forest's unpleasant inhabitants towards the Ponyville side of the Nightmare Zone, and at least a couple of monsters have actually wandered their way into the old town itself. Fortunately, the only ponies living in that area are raiders.
Not
So to the
anymore.
monsters, I say, bon appetit. Well, if it ain't one thing, it's another. Calamity neighed, pointing out that Splendid Valley was beyond Ponyville in the opposite direction.
Oh.
Fortunately, we will be crossing the area well above ground level, so we should be able to fly clear of any trouble. Unless, of course, the critters wandering out of that place include manticores or the like.
Yeah. They will.
Knowing
They
my
will.
luck and the Equestrian Wasteland's maliciousness, they will be angry dragons.
Oh.
Well, it's another hard day in this Equestrian Wasteland, but I've got the news and the music to get you through. So say bye-bye to stupid static, and hello to magnificent music. This has been your host, DJ Pony. The voice of Homage's broadcast persona gave away to one of the newer songs on DJ Pony's playlist. Something from a record I had rescued out of Stable 29.
Oh, God, is he going to
I
sing
felt
again?
immensely better after the bath.
Okay.
As Velvet Remedy wove her horn around my broken body, mending my rib and lung with her beautiful magic, I began to drift to sleep. Steelhooves walked in. Little Pip, can we talk? About the zebra. I released a long, suffering sigh. This again? Lamely pretending to mishear, I replied. Candyhawk? Sorry, don't think I've heard of her. Funny, Steelhooves said dryly. Little Pip,
That was a
I need
poor
to talk with
deception.
you. You need to go to the zoo? Fine. Need the 4 of us to come with you? I put a little emphasis on the number 4, only to realize that with Firelight it should have been 5. Where was that magnificent bird, anyway? Snickering softly, Velvet Remedy stood up and trotted over to the Steel Ranger, head down. She pressed against him, wrapping him with a telekinetic field of her own, reducing the massive weight of his armor so she could shove him out the door. Sorry, Steelhooves, too busy saving Equestria today. All Prejudice has been rescheduled. Is next month good for you? Steelhooves nickered with a stomp. You might accept having one of those traveling with you, but even if I did, there is no way the Steel Rangers would let her trot into the Citadel and live. He looked at me over Velvet's scarlet and gold-streaked white mane. Or am I wrong that you have further business there? I buried my face as I realized the Ghoul Stallion had a point. Stabletech's old headquarters was my first intended stop. I had some things to discuss with Elder Blueberry Saber. But
Yeah.
that wasn't someplace I could take Xenith. I'd have more luck walking into the Steel Ranger's Citadel with an alicorn in tow and trying to convince them she was friendly.
Meh. It worked
Velvet
for
Remedy had
Fox.
him all the way through the door when I finally said, Steelhooves, I've welcomed Xenith to join us. She's here as long as she wants to be. If that's a problem for you, then you're free to be elsewhere. I stared at him with what I hoped was a gentle expression. Remember, Applejack herself offered her hooves in friendship to a zebra. The response I got back was an unexpected growl.
Yes, and if you only knew how that ended, you wouldn't speak of it.
Wow. Minefield. Okay, but somehow I've become the leader of this merry band of ponies, and I've decided to give her a chance. If you want to stay with us, you will too. I won't have Xenith mysteriously disappearing when my back is turned. Velvet Remedy gasped sharply at my insinuation. She didn't know the patterns of behavior I had seen in Applesnack's memories and looked appalled that I could even suggest one of us was capable of such things. I envied her innocence. Steelhooves himself was silenced. So, as long as you're with us, you will love and tolerate the shit out of her. Consider that an order. I stared at him, giving him one chance. That said, I added reluctantly, you are absolutely right about the Steel Rangers. I won't be bringing her with us into the Stable-Tech building, which, means we'll have to split up again. If only briefly, anyhow.
Don't split the
Steelhooves
fucking party!
Then gave a rigid
God
nod.
damn!
As he turned to trot away, he nearly ran into Xenith, who was trotting up with a small covered cookpot hanging from her mouth. They stared at each other awkwardly, then danced about each other. Velvet Remedy backed up, letting Xenith through the doorway, then closed it behind her. Xenith lowered her neck, placing the pot on the floor. Once again, it would seem that I am subject of an argument. You were the subject of an argument. Is that not what I said? The zebra asked, perplexed. I covered a snicker with a hoof. Velvet Remedy gave up and rolled her eyes. And what is that? She asked, pointing at the cookpot with a hoof. Her ears tilted back. Please tell me there is no meat in that.
There
Xenith
it
looked quite
is.
surprised.
Delicious
not.
meat.
Zebras are vegetarians, as I thought were ponies. Are you not? I could see relief wash over Velvet Remedy as a look of joy broke over her face. Yes, we are. Thanks, Celestia, finally. She slid up to Xenith, wrapping a foreleg around her neck, seemingly oblivious to the way Xenith suddenly tensed. Oh, we are going to be best friends, you and I. Velvet Remedy backed up.
You don't know the
looking
joy
over
of
Xenith.
bacon.
And little Pip isn't the only one in need of medical attention. The mother doctor side of Velvet was instantly back in control as she pulled the top mattress off a set of bunk beds and insistently guided Xenith onto it. But the nudge to lie down was the final straw. Xenith jumped away, spinning and knocking back Velvet Remedy's nudging hoof with enough force to send Velvet stumbling back with a tear in her eye. I do not like to be touched, the zebra spat. Velvet Remedy blinked, falling onto her haunches, holding her bruised hoof against her breast. I felt like I was frozen. Part of me needed to jump between them, to do something. But the situation had changed so rapidly my brain was still catching up. Oh. Velvet Remedy blinked. Her eyes widened. Oh! She stared back at the tense zebra mare with an expression flooding with compassion. Oh, Xenith, I'm so sorry. I had not told any pony what Number 4 had told me about Xenith's abuse. I did not feel I had the right. Velvet Remedy didn't need to. She'd figured it out herself. Not the details, thank the goddesses, but enough. Gingerly putting her sore hoof down and standing, Velvet Remedy apologized again. But with that apology came insistence. I will not touch you casually without permission. That was wrong of me. But I am a medical pony, and I will need to touch you to treat your physical wounds. I can do that well enough on my own, Xenith nickered. Velvet nodded. I'm sure you can, but I can do it better. That was no boast. And, after Velvet Remedy had been able to treat my rib and lung, there was no question she was right.
Yeah.
You deserve a lot better treatment than what you've been getting. From others in the extreme, but also from yourself. Let me give you the level of care you need, Velvet whinnied. At least to the best of my ability. Xenith neighed. I came here to deliver a gift for the little one, not to be prodded and treated by a medical pony.
Yeah,
both
well, that's
turned
what
to
you're
look at
getting.
I was half tempted to pretend I couldn't hear them again. Our family had clearly grown big enough that some pony needed to lay ground rules. But why should that fall to me?
Because you're the
Considering my
leader.
whole lack of family experience, wasn't I the least qualified?
Yes.
Xenith, I said gently. In this group, we have to trust each other with our lives every day. We care for each other, and each one of us uses our talents to help all of us. I stopped as I recognized my line of thought was wandering. Readjusted. You are very welcome here, and I do hope you stay with us. But being a part of this group will call for some sacrifices. You told me that I was responsible for you now. That includes making sure you're properly cared for, and this is how I choose to do that, by having Velvet Remedy care for you like she cares for the rest of us. I looked at the zebra, adding, unless you choose to release me from my responsibilities. Xenith's eyes narrowed, but slowly she laid down the mattress. No, I do not, little pony.
Damn.
I let out a breath I hadn't realized I'd been holding. Velvet Remedy moved carefully towards the zebra. She stopped as she passed the small cookpot still resting on the floor. She sniffed at it. Xenith, what is this gift? It is a restorative brew, Xenith told us. It will replenish and heal your horn of the magics you overtaxed in our rescue. I blinked. On one hoof, this was extremely welcome news.
Damn straight.
Last time I had burned out, it had taken days to recover. With Red Eye's threat hanging over homage, I couldn't afford to be ineffective that long. On the other hoof, I couldn't help but question what a zebra could know of unicorn magics, much less remedies for uniquely unicorn ailments. I know many of the ancient mystical recipes, ones to cure, to enhance, and to harm, Xenith told us. If I have the right ingredients, I can brew potions that will permanently alter and strengthen you, making you better fit for the fight ahead. Alter? I didn't think I wanted to be altered. This is no such potion, but I have what is necessary to craft one of these elixirs. One which will strengthen your bones, such that they will be much harder to break. I will brew this
That's a
for
good
you,
one.
if you allow me to. Velvet Remedy looked skeptical. I'm not sure that's such a good idea. Nor this gift for that matter. Before either of us could protest, Velvet reminded me. Little Pip had some bad experiences with zebra medicine before. She's particularly susceptible to their dangers. Xenith looked between us. I would not offer addictive draught, nor give a cup too full. The zebra frowned at Velvet, then turned to me. You just said that here you allow each other to share their talents. Will you not let
You got the drug dealer, little Pip. I hope you're happy.
Velvet nickered at the way Xenith used my own argument so swiftly. The zebra cocked her head. You have seen Red Eye, have you not? That pony has augmented himself with machines and technology. If the little one truly chooses for him to be her mortal enemy, then should she not take advantage of the gifts I offer her? If Red Eye is also my enemy, should I not offer them? My answer was to get up, walk to the cookpot, and lift away the lid. The brew inside smelled sweetly spicy. The steam that rushed down cleared my sinuses. With only the slightest hesitation, I began to drink. My magic had been completely spent. After drinking Xenith's potion, and a night of rest, I still couldn't lift the now empty cookpot. But I believed I could feel the stirrings of my magic, and I knew one test which would call for only the tiniest spark of focus and power. I laid one of the memory orbs on the apartment floor. I had sacrificed all, save for the two I had taken from the safes in my battle with the super alicorn.
Oh, God, fuck that
But
thing.
those two had been put in my other saddlebag. I laid down, leaning forward and concentrating as I touched my horn to the orb. Flashes of light burst across the night. Scores of cameras capturing the moment for a mob of news ponies and paparazzi. They mixed with a throng of ponies shouting protests and holding signs in their mouths. My host was standing on a set of marbled steps, looking down on them and watching a quartet of armored police ponies push their way through. I was encased in armor, but unlike my experience in the mind of Applesnack, this armor did not feel heavy or claustrophobic. I could, in fact, barely feel it at all.
Power
The
armor?
limited vision, the eyes forward sparkle that played behind the visor, and the smell of trapped pony sweat were the swiftest indications of how I was clad. A very nice scent of mare sweat, I could not help myself from thinking. With an
Okay.
unpleasant shock,
Wow.
I realized I could feel my wings. I was in a Pegasus pony. To each side of me stood more Pegasi wearing the sleek, black carapace armor I had come to associate with the Enclave. As the police ponies broke through the front of the crowd below and started up the steps, I could see they were escorting a zebra, bound in chains and encircled by the armored ponies. One of them stepped forward, speaking to some pony just behind me. "We got her in the iron-shod firearms, red-hoofed, trying to steal the schematics for the anti-machine rifle." The zebra protested her mistreatment. "I have not broken any rule. I was invited there, you fool." Her accent was like Xenith's, and I recognized the odd rhyming that seemed to follow in all of her speech. Lowering her voice loudly, Zecora asked the lead pony, "So, are you always such a tool?"
I knew it.
cried an equally familiar voice from behind me. The pink party pony advanced into view, glaring daggers at the zebra.
And to think I let you trick us into trusting you. You trickster.
Zecora looked hurt. Pinkie Pie didn't relent, breaking into furious sing-song.
She's an evil enchantress and she does evil dances.
Pinkie Pie, you have me wrong. I am not like your fuller song.
Don't even try to entrance me, Zecora. Never again.
Pinkie Pie turned from her, scowling. It was the first time I had seen the mayor of the Ministry of Morale angry, and it was terrifying. In a low voice, she grumbled,
I hope you really like rocks.
Pinkie Pie looked up at me, then jabbed a hoof towards two of the armored Pegasi on my right.
You and you. Help escort my old friend.
Pinkie Pie hissed the words between clenched teeth.
To the convoy. Zecora will be spending the rest of her life as a guest in Shatterhoof. Tell them that I want all of that zebra's memories. And don't be too gentle.
The two Pegasi on my right rushed to obey. Pinkie Pie pointed her hoof at me.
You, with me.
The pink earth pony stomped back up the steps and into what I assumed was a ministry building. My host
Pinkie
turned
Pie's
and trotted
fucking
after
lost
her,
it.
following behind Pinkie Pie as she crossed the darkened, spacious lobby towards the elevators. Under her breath, Pinkie Pie continued to sing venomously.
She'll mix up an evil brew and swallow you up in a big, tasty stew.
She stopped singing in the elevator, which was good since the song would have clashed unpleasantly with the lullaby version of March of the Pear Sprites that was playing inside the lift. Pinkie Pie turned and pushed all the buttons simultaneously with her rump. The elevator took us directly to a large office with a huge plate glass window that looked out over...
Is that the code?
Pinkie Pie strode dangerously in the middle of the room, then turned, fixing me with a sort of malevolent expression that made me think she might carve me up and bake me into a cupcake. Then, in a
Fuck
magical
you!
instant, she broke into a huge smile that seemed to light up the room. She waved a hoof in a sweeping bow, her voice bursting with joy.
Acting!
The aging pink earth pony collapsed on the floor in a fit of giggles.
Best prank ever.
My host humphed and trotted over to the window, looking down below. The eyes-forward sparkle started identifying ponies and wagons in the street below. The convoy carrying Zecora to Shatterhoof was already rolling out under a light guard supplemented by the two Pegasi in magically powered armor. I felt myself lift the visor. In the window, my reflected face was blue, with magenta eyes and a shock of rainbow-colored hair.
What the fuck is going on?
Pinkie Pie's reflection appeared on the window next to me.
Zecora's gonna be all right.
She asked, a note of true concern in her voice.
Won't she, Dashi?
I saw and felt my host nod.
She's been with the best trainers the Ministry of Awesome has. I wouldn't let this move forward if it were otherwise.
Pinkie Pie nodded and turned her stare to the convoy below. It was already 2 blocks away. Pinkie Pie paused, lifting her left forehoof and wiggling it.
Huh.
Rainbow Dash ignored this, eyes narrowing.
Extraction by traitorous zebra sympathizers in 3, 2...
Pinkie Pie looked down, excited.
Oh, Zecora's gonna make such a good spy.
1. There was a flash down below as the first wagon in the prisoner convoy exploded. Dark figures rushed in from all sides amidst flashes of muzzle fire. Rainbow Dash pushed down her visor. And here we go.
It explodes, doesn't it?
I sat in the apartment common room, trying to float small objects. I had made it up to levitating a pack of bubblegum, which honestly was the only thing I imagined the package was good for anymore. Who would even try to eat 200-year-old bubblegum?
Oh, that explains that
Over
shit.
breakfast, a meal which in content was indistinguishable from dinner, the conversation had turned towards more open introductions, and an attempt by the others to get to know Xenith a little better in return for regaling her with the stories of our adventures over the past 5 weeks.
Yeah.
I have never seen a bloodwing, Xenith admitted, but I have seen the desiccated husks their preying leaves behind. Still, wouldn't a missile be a little excessive for killing one? Steelers ain't never been one for underkill. The ghoul snorted.
You should talk. Tell her about your solution to the alicorns chasing us through Manhattan.
Actually, Velvet Remedy interrupted, I think it's Xenith's turn to share.
She gave the zebra an encouraging look and suggested,
Why don't you tell us a little bit about where you learned those brewing skills of yours?
Velvet was purposefully suggesting tales of a time that must have been before Philadelphia, steering the
Heck,
zebra's
must
memories
have been.
and our conversation away from the more dangerous and hurtful paths. Xenith hesitated, but relented as the silence stretched out.
I learned the brewing of potions and remedies, both mundane and magical, from my grandparents. In their youth, they had been adventurers of sorts, prying into all sorts of forbidden places, even delving into Everfree Forest in search of the Hut of Zecora, and braving Lookout Plateau that rises above the dark fumes of Froggy Bottom Bog, along the vilest stretches of the Pony Potomac, searching out old recipes and lore of zebra kind that had been lost for over a century. It is
Just
from
a
them that I
century,
learned the ways
not
and
2.
tales of the zebra people.
Or as much as I know of them. I looked up from my task of stacking bubblegum and bullets into a tiny fort. Somehow,
Oh, that's
the
adorable.
idea of the zebras as equestrian scavengers not unlike myself was surprising. I don't know what I expected. Something more militaristic and uniquely zebra, I guessed. My great-grandparents were amongst the survivors of Stable 3, as were most zebras in the equestrian wasteland. As is typical for youth, my grandparents rebelled against their parents' ways and sought to learn more about the zebras beyond the tales passed down through oral tradition since the sealing. I didn't need clarification on what the sealing was.
Yeah.
No pony who lived in a stable would. But I did wish to know more about the stable whose floor plan I had in my pip-buck. Stable 3. Steelhooves grunted.
The let's get along stable.
He snorted derisively. I saw Velvet's ears perk at that.
It was clearly an experimental stable.
Steelhooves rumbled.
Virtually all of the zebra citizens of Equestria were randomly assigned to Stable 3. They would have made up half the stable's population.
Xenith frowned at the unpleasantness of the interruption, but nodded at Steelhooves' assessment. It was long before even my grandparents' time, but the stories passed down say the overmares told all of the stable why they had been chosen, and why the stable had no text of history or posters of current events. Ah, instead of altering things, Scootaloo and her friends had simply filtered out as much of the Ministry of Image's influence as possible.
Yeah.
Velvet Remedy questioned.
Not the worst thing to do.
Overmares.
Not the worst thing to do.
Plural?
I'll give him that.
Xenith nodded. 1 pony and 1 zebra. My experience with stables was clawing at the back of my mind. Still, if there were survivors, what went wrong? Why would you assume something went wrong? Xenith gave me a questioning look.
Zebras and ponies can live together quite harmoniously, if each gives the other the opportunity.
Steelhooves again provided the answer I was looking for.
Stable 3 was built within the limits of the one city in Equestria with more than a hoofful of zebras,
He informed us.
Canterlot.
Oh no.
Oh.
Xenith saw my expression and nodded glumly.
Not even the stables could hold back the pink cloud forever. Stable 3 lasted over a century before the cloud ate its way inside. Within a generation more, those who still could were focused on unsealing the door and fleeing. Many did not survive the exposure. My great-grandparents were among those who did. You killed a dragon? Xenith stared between
Oh, there must have been a cut there.
eyes wide. They narrowed as she asked me.
Is this true? Or is this the revenge for Doom Bunny?
Doom Bunny? Velvet asked curiously. Calamity pulled a book from his saddlebags. I'm guessing something to do with this.
Fucking
I
angel.
focused, trying to wrap the book in my field of magic. I broke a sweat, but the book dutifully floated over to me in a cushion of levitating energy. Martial Arts of the Zebra announced the title. Where did you find this? I asked as I flipped the book open to the contents page.
You didn't
Found
answer
down
her
at the
question,
station,
little Pip.
Calamity said matter-of-factly. Strangely enough, it was on the P. I shrugged that off. The prologue spoke of the zebra's rich history of martial artistry, from the many fighting styles that have been perfected over the centuries, such as Fallen Kaiser style, to the newer ones. The newest of these styles had only been in existence for a couple years at the time this pre-apocalyptic book had been written, and focused on
Cool.
a drug-enhanced martial prowess,
Oh.
Doom Bunny style. The book's author spoke ill of it for having undefined influences from the lands of the ponies. I closed the book, intending to read it later. Xenith tapped a hoof in thought. Little Pip, with your permission, there is some place I would like us to go. I understand there are other matters that are pressing, but this is important to me.
Loyalty mission.
Of course
God
we-
damn it.
Wait, how come this is my decision? I looked at the others. Why do you ponies keep acting like I'm the leader?
'Cause you are,
Little
you
Pip's right.
turd.
Calamity neighed. Anyway, we do have more pressing matters, so I think we should first hear that plan. What's next? I nodded thankfully and laid out the plan. We need to go to Stable-Tech headquarters first. I have something that Elder Blueberry Saber wants, and I plan to use it to barter for access to the Stable-Tech mainframe. Steelos whinnied questioningly. Red-Eye is building a fortress called the Cathedral, where Stable 101 used to be. I figure the Stable-Tech mainframe has record of the location of all the stables, so that's the fastest way to find out where Red-Eye's main base is located. I looked to Calamity. After that, I say we
Right.
fly as fast as we can to 10 Pony Power and begin an evacuation. Calamity smirked and turned to Xenith. I'm sorry for interrupting, just proving a point. Now go on with what you were asking. I blinked, lost. Huh? What point? Xenith
I don't
gave
know.
her own smirk back, answering kindly. I believe you just demonstrated to everyone but yourself why you are the leader. I stared. What did she... Oh, fuck. I shot Calamity a dark look, but the buck just grinned. Luna clapped me with her wings.
You could go yourself.
Steelhoof suggested to Xenith as non-nastily as he could. Xenith nodded. Yes, but the journey would be a long and dangerous one. I would prefer to arrive later than not at all. She looked at me. Although, should you refuse, then I will take my leave as soon as your travels bring us within a few days of my destination. I nodded. I wanted to immediately agree, but it seemed wise to ask. Where do you need to go?
Exactly. Ask.
I need to return to my tribal home. The village that had been mine and my family's until stern slavers descended upon it. Your family? My parents and husband were slain in the fight. My daughter... The zebra choked before plowing on. My daughter was too young for stern slave pits, and not a pony, so she had no place in Red-Eye schools. So Stern left her there, along with the other children. Velvet Remedy whimpered, shedding the tears that the zebra seemed unable or unwilling to. My own thoughts traveled back to the words of one of the raiders in Shattertooth, speaking about how her own town had been treated to the same, with the children left behind to fend for themselves. She'd fled into the life of a raider to escape the horror her town had descended into under the rule of slaughter-scarred bullies and traumatized children. It was long ago. Years. I doubt my daughter would still know me should she still survive. Xenith's face was sorrowful, but her voice was steady. Any claim I had as her guide and guardian, I lost in the years since. I only wish to know. You really shouldn't be going anywhere. Velvet Remedy chided as we made our way towards the Stable-Tech building, itself walled.
Damn it. That was a good point, Paul. So, okay, there was some stuff to talk about there. Like, so clearly, I mean, since they didn't take the zebra children, so clearly Red-Eye still got some prejudice against the zebras, even though he's trying to build, harmony and unity for Equestria. There's still a lot of that old hatred there for zebras and stuff. Shame. I mean, that shit was 200 fucking years ago. Let it go. Okay? Just fucking let it go. Like 200 years. You gotta have a off point somewhere. Like, just damn. Also, now we know what went down was his course. He apparently became a spy. But they didn't tell Applejack or Steelhooves, so that's the hatred there. I wonder, will Little Pip tell Steelhooves what she saw in the memory orb? In Rainbow Dash's memory orb, that Zecora was actually a spy for the Ministry of Awesome or Morale? I don't know. I hope she does, but at the same time, well, okay, my accomplice is Steelhooves calming the fuck down. Also, trying to evacuate 10 Penny Tower, 10 Point Tower, I don't know if that worked. Yeah, I mean, he's probably keeping an eye on it. I don't know if they'll believe it. I mean, they kind of have to find the bomb. I don't know. That really depends on how that stuff goes down. I don't know, but that's all for this time. A bit of stuff to discuss, but not a whole lot. We have to see where it's going. It's a nice reversal of the Megaton situation, where instead of Megaton having the bomb that's about to go off, it's basically 10 Penny Tower that has the bomb that goes off. I like that. That's pretty good, actually. And I hope to see what happens. Like, they're trying to evacuate, but again, he's probably have that tower watched. I don't know if that works. I'll have to see later.